So if you found this video, someone's getting under your skin. Now, doesn't matter who they are, could be your romantic partner, it could be a coworker, a boss, a friend, maybe a family member, whoever it is. By the end of this video, you're gonna have some tools to help you shift from feeling powerless or annoyed or frustrated in that situation to having a new view on how you can approach not only this situation and free yourself from that irritation, that frustration, that anger, but you can also help yourself feel more empowered and resilient with anybody in the future who tries to get under your skin. Sound good? All right. If so, I'm Danielle. I'm a flow-based reality mentor. I teach people how to live with the truth of who they are in a state of flow. And I've done this in a lot of ways through many years through my strategic guidance of businesses, of individuals, and relationships in life. And today with you, in this video, I'm going to share with you a few key points to help you understand where your power actually is in all of your relationships. No matter whether or not you feel powerless right now or you feel like you've had to struggle now or in the past. So first things first, just about all relationship irritation is rooted in the idea that someone is acting in a way that you're not pleased with, right? We can agree from that point. Someone is acting in a way that on some level you believe that they should be acting differently, or at the very least, you want them to be acting differently than they currently are. Whatever behaviors they're choosing are just not lining up for you right now. So the challenge with that is, although we can sometimes influence or communicate with other people about, the behaviors we'd like them to exhibit, the beginning and the end of the day, we don't have any actual power or control over the choices and the behaviors other people make. I'll say that again. We can tell people what our preferences are. We can set boundaries, but other people's choices and behaviors are not within our realm of control. What we can control is our focus, our values, and what we say we will and won't do, and us actually doing what we will and won't do. The reason those keys are important to distinguish is when you start understanding that, first off, you are not controlling or influencing other people's behaviors. That's one of the first steps right there that you can tap into to let go of your irritation. No matter how irritating or frustrating your situation is, if you pause for a moment and remember and realize, I really don't control how other people behave or think, you can take a deep breath and let go of that a little bit. Because even though sometimes these challenges or conflicts can feel really personal, especially if someone else is lashing out towards us, it's important to remember that if it wasn't you there, they would just be lashing out towards someone else. So it's not really about you. And that's one of the first steps to help you loosen some of that irritation. All right, now let's get you back into your power. So remember how I said the thing that we have the power or the ability to do is guide our focus. A lot of times when we are struggling in a relationship, there's one of two things happening. One is we are attached to that person, or we are attached to the outcome. I'd say it's actually probably the two things. We're usually attached to the person itself, or we're attached to the outcome. On some level, we may believe that we need to have this person behave differently or think of us a certain way for us to be okay in our lives or reality. And sometimes that shows up for us, again, in relationships. So if you're in a romantic relationship, it's very easy to get attached, to those partners. And so if you're having conflict and you've placed a lot of, emotional, let's say, need towards that partner and they're not showing up that way, you can feel a little deficit, you can feel anxious, you can feel worried because you've relied on this partner to show up a certain way. For example, in some of my own previous relationships, there were times that I would call it that I outsourced my emotional resilience towards some of my previous partners. And so if they didn't show up for me emotionally the way that I wanted them to, I would get very anxious inside, which would then make me feel very frustrated towards my partners at the time, because then I would be thinking, oh, well, I need them to show up for me this way. So I would sometimes engage in behaviors where I would want to try and get them to change their behaviors. And that caused a lot of conflict, both internally and externally, because I wasn't actually embracing the person for who they were. I was needing them to be something for me to feel good and solid inside. And it wasn't until I started taking the steps of coming back within myself and being my own source of resilience in my life, and then bringing that into my relationship. So I start with my own inner resilience first. And then I can show up in all my relationships with my own grounding as a basis. So every time I'm interacting with someone, whether it's a love or a friend or family members, I can communicate my wants or my desires or my boundaries. But if they are unable to show up in that capacity, I'm not feeling as though I need to chase them to do that. Otherwise, I feel empty, because I'm already receiving all the foundational resource that I need for myself from within. So in other words, if you are finding that you need another person to behave a certain way in order for you to feel complete or whole, that is an indicator that you now have an opportunity to build resilience within yourself, to shift it from an external facing need to starting to ask myself, okay, well, what are my needs? And how can I show up that way for myself, regardless of what anyone else does? And this is one of the pivotal steps you will experience in your life, because it's not about hyper independence. It's not about saying, I don't need anyone, I'm just going to figure it all out myself. No, this is about being able to place your, as they say, like in the airplanes, place your mask of oxygen on yourself first so that you can connect with or talk with or help others. It's about knowing that you can come to yourself for all your main resources. And even if that need that you have is to connect with community or others, you understand that it doesn't have to come from that specific person or that specific community. You can become flexible enough and resilient enough in yourself to be able to say no to relationships that don't honor you or your boundaries, so that the yes relationships and experiences can show up. And this is the key pivot point in you receiving your power, again, from situations and people that once felt very irritating, frustrating, or even worse. And the reason this is such an important one right here, what we are talking about right now, is when you can let go of needing other people to be specific things for you, then you can get clear on what is your yeses, what you would like to experience and focus on in your life, so that people who naturally relate to those things, in other words, people who are these things you want, will be able to show up. You don't have to morph other people into that. If you already have a desire for a certain kind of relationship or relational experience or job or situation, it already exists. We just need to be perceptive enough to both let go or let it be, let any situation that's not showing up in that way be, to trust our guidance, our intuition, our desires, to then lead us to the moment-to-moment steps that it takes when we say authentic yeses and nos, to then arrive at the situations and experiences where the people and the situations who do line up with what we want arrive. Now that was a big mouthful. So what I'm going to say is right here, feel free to go back and listen to that again, because there was a lot of dense information in that. If you have any questions about what I just shared, let me know in the comments. We can go deeper with this, because there is absolutely ways that you can develop this power. It doesn't matter if it's in a job and anything else. What I'm sharing with you right now is the foundation for inner empowerment and inner resilience, and remembering that no matter where you are in life right now, you are a reality creator. You are. You're certainly a co-creator. And there are ways to navigate this that are authentic and honoring to you. And that is one of the reasons you find yourself here and now. So, with that, thank you so much for taking some time to connect and co-create together. I'm going to place some resources in the description that you can go check out. I am currently doing some flow-based containers individually and with groups at the time of making this video. And if you come at this video at a later time, go ahead and check in the descriptions for what kind of flow-based experiences or courses or opportunities might be available if it calls to you. And please do remember to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.